At midnight, my son whispered, "You're next to be buried." The dark truth unveiled. The clock struck 12, and in the stillness of the night, a voice slithered through the shadows. "You're next to be buried," my son whispered. It wasn't just a playful joke, something kids say to spook their parents. The air turned thick with dread, like a heavy fog creeping into my bones. I froze, my heart hammering loudly against my chest, each beat echoing in the eerie silence of the room. Outside, the wind howled like a restless spirit, rattling the windows, and twisting the trees into grotesque shapes. My son, Jesse, stood in his bed, his wide eyes filled with something darker. His words wrapped tightly around me, squeezing the breath from my lungs. Jesse had always been sensitive to things I couldn't grasp: shadows flitting across walls, whispers in the dark, even that chill that crawled up your spine when you felt like someone was watching. But tonight, it was different. Something was very wrong. I blinked, trying to shake off the rush of unease. "What do you mean, buddy?" I managed to croak. His response was a tremor in the darkness, so low it was almost a growl. "The man in the coat said it. He's coming for you." Those words sank like stones in my gut. I had seen the man just outside the window last week, clothed in tattered black. A malicious grin cut across his face, his eyes hollow like the void itself. I had told myself the figure was nothing more than a trick of the light, a figment of my overactive imagination. But now? The truth slammed into me like a freight train. I glanced around the dimly lit room, shadows clinging to the corners like secrets long forgotten. Weeks ago, I'd noticed something strange: tiny footprints in the dust leading to Jesse's window, and a lingering scent of decay, something foul hanging just beneath the surface. The ground beneath my feet felt like it was slipping away, a terrifying reminder of the earth's grip on what's buried and lost. "Listen, Jesse," I said, trembling. "It's okay. We're safe." But deep down, I felt the weight of his words bearing down on me like heavy chains. What if he was right? If he was, what could I do? Then, a sudden noise jolted me from my thoughts, a soft scratching sound coming from the hallway, like fingers dragging across the wood floor. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. I turned back to Jesse, my heart racing. "Stay here," I ordered, forcing myself to sound calm. He nodded, eyes wide and unblinking. I crept toward the hallway, the air thick with a taste of fear. Each step felt like walking into a void. Was I brave or just plain stupid? The scratching grew louder, that eerie sound clawing its way deeper into the night. I held my breath, straining to hear any flicker of sound. Suddenly, it stopped. Silence. I peered into the darkness, shivers racing down my spine. Was something lurking there? Watching? Just waiting for the perfect moment to strike? Something wasn't right about tonight. Something was coming, and I could feel it in my bones. What would happen next? Would I uncover the truth, or would that truth bury us both? My breath hitched as I peered into the abyss of the hallway. Shadows danced, twisting and bending like the restless spirits I feared. The silence was deafening, making each second stretch into an eternity. My mind raced. Should I go back to Jesse? Protect him? Or move forward and confront whatever awaited me? Just as I was about to retreat, a glint caught my eye from around the corner. It was briefly illuminated by the street light piercing through the window, shining across the floor like a beacon. Panic surged through me. My knees felt weak. I stepped closer, my pulse a wild drum in my ears. What could it be? My imagination spun webs of horrors: a knife, a claw, something that belonged to the man in the coat. My breath quickened as I reached the edge of the hallway. With a trembling hand, I flicked on the light. What I found made my stomach churn. There were not just tiny footprints, they were smeared, like something had dragged itself, leaving a trail of filth and decay across the lacquered floor. My skin prickled with dread. Had I missed something? What else could be lurking in the darkness, hidden from my view? Then, from deep within the shadows, a voice echoed. You shouldn't have come here. I froze, the air ripped from my lungs. It wasn't Jesse's voice. It was a low, guttural sound that sent chills racing down my spine. Before I could react, a figure stepped forward from the darkness, the man in the coat, the one Jesse warned me about. His eyes gleamed with an otherworldly hunger, narrowing into slits as they met mine. Who are you? I managed to whisper, every muscle in my body tensing as if preparing to flee. His smile widened, revealing teeth too sharp, too jagged for a human. Just a collector of souls, he hissed, the words curling around my senses like smoke. And I've come for yours. I stumbled back, panic igniting inside me. What do you want from us? I yelled, desperation fueling my voice. The very walls seemed to close in around me. Your son, he knows more than you think. He has the key. Jesse. I must protect him. My instincts took over, and I turned to rush back to the room. But the man in the coat was quicker. He intercepted me, blocking my way, his overwhelming presence absorbing the light. The air thickened with his dark aura, choking me, making it hard to breathe. Jesse. I shouted his name, my voice breaking the silence, a lifeline in the rising darkness that threatened to envelop us. Everything has its price, the man whispered, his voice intimate yet chilling, resonating deep within my bones. And he has a choice to make. A sharp knock echoed through the house, shaking me from the horrors unfolding before me. The noise shattered the stillness like glass, sending a shockwave through the room. But I couldn't turn away from the threat before me. What choice? I demanded, clenching my fists, my heart pounding in my chest like a war drum. Your life or his, he replied, each word dripping with malice. I felt the floor slip away, the enormity of his words crashing around me, but just as dread swallowed me whole, I heard Jesse scream from behind. Mom! Get away from him! My heart dropped. The choice was here, and it was darker than I ever imagined. I turned, eyes darting to Jesse standing in the doorway. His face was pale, wide-eyed, filled with fear yet so full of resilience. And then the floor erupted beneath me, the whole world crumbling, the shadows bursting forth as terror had taken form. What would happen next? Could Jesse truly save us both, or would the man in the coat claim his prize? The walls trembled, the very foundation of the house groaning as the darkness convulsed violently. I lunged forward, reaching out for Jesse, my fingers stretching in desperation, but the shadows swelled and twisted around us, forming a barrier of despair. I could barely breathe, the air thick and heavy with a sickening dread that clawed at my throat. Get back, Mom! Jesse cried, his voice strained but unwavering, like a lighthouse in the storm. I could see the determination in his eyes, a flicker of strength anchoring me in this chaos. But fear coiled around my heart like a vice. The man in the coat laughed, a chilling sound that echoed in the suffocating darkness. Isn't it sweet? The little boy thinks he can protect you. His breath reeked of decay, sending waves of nausea washing over me. But he doesn't understand the game and the stakes are far too high. Everything went silent for a heartbeat. I couldn't tell if my heart was thumping in my chest or if it was the pounding of the crumbling walls, but a new sense of urgency filled the space. I had to get out. I had to save Jesse. Look at him, darling, the man purred, gesturing towards my son with a smirk that twisted his features. He has chosen you over himself. Isn't that touching? But choices come with consequences. Before I could process what he meant, the floor beneath my feet shifted again, and a dark swirl of shadows erupted, reaching hungrily toward Jesse. I dashed forward, and the man in the coat's laughter turned into a howl of rage. The shadows felt cold and clammy against my skin, fighting me, but my determination burned hotter. Jesse! I screamed, pushing the darkness aside with sheer will. I couldn't let him face this alone. You're stronger than this. You can fight him. For a moment, I saw a tremor of uncertainty flicker across the man's face. Strength means nothing against destiny, he hissed, but Jesse held his ground, defiance etched on his young face even as he trembled. It dawned on me Jesse wasn't just my son, he carried something the man craved, a power I still couldn't fully grasp. Listen to me, Jesse. I shouted, urgency lacing my voice. You're not just a boy. You are special, and you can beat him. Don't let him take you. My heart raced as I spoke. I didn't know how true my words were, but I clung to hope like a lifebuoy in choppy waters. The darkness writhed around us, hissing and snapping like a wild beast. But then Jesse stepped forward, eyes shining with a newfound light. No. He shouted, voice steady and fierce. You can't have my mom. You're nothing but a monster. The man in the coat stepped back, eyes flaring with fury. Then you'll pay the price. He roared, fists clenched as he summoned the shadows, a wave of darkness crashing toward us like a wall. I stood frozen, trying to shield Jesse with my body, but he shoved me aside, stepping into the full blast of the encroaching void. Whatever it takes. You want my soul? You'll have to wrest it from me. My breath caught. In that moment, I knew we were at a crossroads. Every instinct told me to pull him back, to sacrifice myself instead. But the look in his eyes burned with conviction. Could he truly withstand this? The shadows recoiled, hesitating as they sensed a shift, a vulnerability in the man in the coat that he didn't want to show. With every ounce of strength he had, Jesse stood his ground. I felt something in the air change, a crackling tension flaring up between them. But as I searched for a way to help him, the man's expression darkened. You're playing a dangerous game, boy. Time is running out. The atmosphere thickened again, my skin crawling with anticipation as the man thrust a hand forward. Suddenly, the shadows lunged, a violent wave consuming everything but what would be left standing once the storm passed. Could Jesse truly withstand the man's dark influence, or would he become just another lost soul? The darkness crashed into us like a thunderstorm. I squeezed my eyes shut, feeling the chaos swirl around my body, nearly suffocating me. Voices screamed in my mind, the shadows whispering doubts, fears, and despair all at once. But in the tumult, a single thought cut through, Jesse. Jesse! I shouted again, fighting against the tide of shadows that sought to swallow us whole. I felt a cold tendril of darkness brush my ankle, tugging me down. My heart raced. Was this it? Would I lose him? But then I heard Jesse. His voice, fierce and unwavering, rang out through the chaos like a siren. I am not afraid. I won't let you take us. I opened my eyes just in time to see the man in the coat stagger. The shadows hung back momentarily, swirling hesitantly, like a tide unsure of its next movement. Jesse stood firm, a bright ember in a void, radiating courage. The sight cut through my panic, igniting a flicker of hope within me. Keep standing, Jesse. I encouraged, pushing back against the encroaching darkness with everything I had. Memories of happier times flooded my mind, the way he laughed, how he would hold my hand tightly when he was scared. He was my reason for fighting, my light in this consuming darkness. The man in the coat regained his composure. You think this game is about bravery? He sneered, his eyes narrowing. Children have fire, yes, but they are little more than kindling for the real flames. I felt the shadows coil tighter around me, their grip increasing, dragging me towards some abyss I dared not imagine. The color drained from the room, a suffocating gray that seeped into my skin. The fear clawed at my heart, but I refused to falter. I called upon the memories of my love for Jesse, wrapping them around me like armor. We are not yours to claim. It was Jesse's voice, rising above the ghastly whispers, spiraling toward the ceiling with fervor. You want my soul? Then come and try. A sudden surge of energy crackled in the air as the essence of his defiance ignited the shadows, making them flicker as if they could feel the heat of his resolve. The man in the coat's arrogance faltered slightly, a flicker of uncertainty darkening his features. Foolish child. He barked, and with a gesture, he commanded the shadows to lash out. A jagged wave surged forward, striking out at Jesse like serpents with fangs bared. "Move!" I screamed, instinctively reaching out for Jesse, but my voice was barely a whisper over the storm. The shadows wriggled through the air like angry vipers, coiling around my son, attempting to pull him away from me. My heart dropped as I saw his feet slide backward. "Hold on, Jesse," I begged, desperate. "You have to fight. You are stronger than this." With an effort that seemed to shake the very fabric of reality, Jesse turned his gaze toward me, determination flaring like a beacon. "Mom!" he shouted, and suddenly he pulsed with an inner light. The house rumbled again, and cracks began to appear, jagged scars in the very fabric of our reality. The shadows recoiled slightly, as if sensing their impending defeat. "Your light can't shield you from me forever," the man hissed as he struggled against the energy emanating from Jesse. I took a deep breath and prepared to lunge forward, but the moment felt drawn out like an unwelcome visitor, freezing us all in time. Then everything changed. The ground beneath us splintered and cracked, sending a shockwave through the air, and I felt the pull of something deeper, ancient and dark, brewing beneath the surface. Whatever lay beneath was awakening, and I could almost hear it whispering. "Fight!" Jesse screamed again, his voice mixing with the thunder, rallying against the otherworldly force. But what other horrors waited beneath the surface? With each breath I took, I sensed the growing urgency, a reckoning crackling in the air, a harbinger of what was yet to come. As the shadows roiled, the man in the coat's laughter echoed ominously above the chaos. "Soon, you will all join me in darkness." Could we survive once the storm unleashed its fury, or would the very foundations we stood on tear apart, revealing all that we tried to hide? The earth shook violently, a tremor that felt like an angry beast roused from slumber. I staggered back, grabbing Jesse's arm with desperation. The shadows surged forward, clawing at us like living nightmares. They flickered, darting closer, their whispers shifting from chaotic to a cold, chilling chant. Join us, panic rose in my throat, thick and suffocating. "Fight them, Jesse. Don't let them take you," I urged, my voice cracking. He mustered every ounce of strength, his inner light blinding against the shadows. "Together!" he shouted, and I felt his determination seep into me. I closed my eyes and summoned our shared moments, running through sunny fields, laughing over ice cream, late-night talks where dreams stretched far beyond the horizon. Each memory became a shield, each laugh an armor against the encroaching darkness. Cracks in the ground yawned wide, as if the earth itself was trying to swallow us whole. Each fissure glowed with a dull ember, a red rage simmering beneath. I barely noticed the man in the coat stepping closer, confident and sneering, reveling in our fear. "Foolish boy, foolish mother," he taunted. "Everything you hold dear is merely fuel for my storm." I could feel the icy grip of his words wrapping around me, threatening to choke off any last shred of confidence. But then, Jesse's voice sliced through the terror. "No. I won't let you." His light blazed brighter, illuminating the room in a fierce glow. The shadows shrieked, flickering like moths drawn into a flame. The moment was electric, charge building between us as if the world had shaken, reshaped by a force greater than despair. "Push them back!" I screamed, our voices intertwining and weaving a tapestry of hope. With a surge, the shadows recoiled, the tendrils slithering back into swirling darkness like a retreating tide. I could barely breathe through the tension, every nerve in my body was alight with fear and defiance. As Jesse held the darkness at bay, I felt an unexpected warmth wrap around me, a sensation that felt like a hug, but stronger, deeper. It wasn't just courage, it was love, fierce and unyielding, binding us together. But the man in the coat wasn't defeated, he held with rage. "You really think you can defy fate?" The ground trembled more violently, the walls shuddering against the shock of his fury. Shadows began to swirl around him, thrumming with dark energy. The air electrified, a sensation that rang deep in my bones, vibrating a warning. "Jesse, hold on!" I shouted, not sure where the next attack would come from. The shadows coalesced like a storm creeping up from the horizon, writhing, darkened fury ready to strike. And then, I caught sight of something buried within the folds of darkness, a glimmer, pale and bright. Just for a heartbeat, it pierced through the chaos. A memory? A spirit? A truth? I couldn't tell, but an inkling of hope ignited. "What is that?" I whispered, eyes locked on the shimmering light. "Mom, focus." Jessie's voice broke through my daze, pulling me back to the battle at hand. "Stay with me. We can't give up." The shadow surged forward again, but this time I felt something shift in the air, and energy, a promise of resilience, flickered. As shadows clawed towards us, I took a step, feeling both terrified and exhilarated. If that glimmer within the darkness was a truth waiting to be uncovered, I would find a way to seize it. For Jessie, for us. Then, amidst the chaos, the ground beneath him split wider, and from that chasm spilled an ancient, ominous echo, raw and chilling. "You're next to be buried." With the weight of the darkness rushing towards us, I knew there was no turning back. The truth loomed, vicious, and I felt it in my bones, the revelation of my past and the dreadful power of shadows. Wasn't he finished yet? What would be unleashed, and who would survive? The ground shuddered beneath us, a low, menacing growl vibrating in the air, as if the world itself was rejecting our stand against the encroaching darkness. The fissure widened, jagged edges ripping through the earth like the yawning maw of a beast ready to swallow us whole. I could see shadows flowing from the chasm, pouring out like smoke from an evil fire, hungry and relentless. "Jessie! Stay close!" I shouted, my breath hitching as the shadows writhed and twisted. My heart raced, pounding against my ribcage. It was a drumbeat of fear, urging me to run, but I couldn't abandon him. I wouldn't keep pushing. "It's not over." Jessie's voice cut through the chaos, grappling at the flickering courage we had left. His light flickered, illuminating the room, but it was beginning to wane. The man in the coat laughed, cruel and mocking, the sound echoing off the walls like a dark symphony. "You think love will save you?" He stepped forward, shadows swirling around him, a dark halo of despair. "You think memories can protect you from what's coming? No. You don't get to take him." I screamed, feeling the warmth of memory surge within me, but was it enough? The shadow seemed to drink in our fear, growing bolder, spreading wider. I bent down, focusing on Jessie's face. "Remember that time at the lake? The sun setting, how we laughed when we splashed water at each other." His eyes flared with light, reflecting a glimmer of that joyful moment. "Yeah. And you fell in." The laughter bubbled up, fierce against the wave of darkness. Each shared moment pushed the shadows back slightly, but not enough. Still, it was a start. I could feel a renewed strength building within us. "Together!" we shouted in unison. The sound reverberated, filling the space with a pulse of energy, a shared heartbeat. The man in the coat recoiled for a moment, his sneer faltering. "Pathetic," he snarled, but I saw a flicker of doubt in his eyes. The shadows writhed, uneasy under the force of our hope. Emboldened, I grasped Jessie's hand tightly. "That light, the glimmer we saw before, what if it's not just a memory? What if it's something we need to reach?" "I can feel it," Jessie exclaimed, "it's calling to us." Together, we took a step forward, into the heart of the darkness, eyes glued to the bright glimmer dancing in the abyss. The shadows lashed out, but with each step forward, we pushed back, our intensity matching their dark pull. Then came a crescendo of whispers, a cacophony of voices shouting in fury. "Join us! Join us!" "Never!" we shouted back, a united front of defiance. The glimmer flashed once more, brighter than ever, the light of a memory merging with a spark of hope. I realized then, it was the essence of our love, our shared struggle. It wasn't merely a reminder of what we had, but a weapon against despair. Suddenly, the man in the coat lunged forward, extending a hand, clawed fingers reaching for Jessie's throat. "You think your love can stop me? You'll regret this." In that moment, I felt the chasm of shadows momentarily pause. There was a flicker, a chance. "Jessie! We can do this. Focus on the light." With adrenaline surging, we surged forward, forcing the darkness back, our feet hitting the ground with purpose. I grasped the edge of the light, feeling its warmth seep into my very being, surrounding us with fierce brightness. But, just as victory felt within reach, the shadows roared back, gathering strength in desperation. "You can't escape me." The man in the coat's voice echoed, booming as if the night itself had come alive to threaten us. In the clutches of the chaos, I felt it then, the truth of my past wrapped tightly around the now and future, a binding that neither of us could shake off. "Mom!" Jessie cried out as the shadows surged again like a tidal wave. I had to fight back. But buried within my own heart was a truth so deep I wasn't sure if I had the strength to confront it. Could love truly triumph over the darkness threatening to bury us? "Jessie, hold on to the light." And with that, we plunged into the brightness, ready to unearth whatever lay hidden in the depths of our shared fears. The moment felt monumental, the edge of revelation, but as we drew near, a whispering truth teased at my subconscious. What was waiting for us in the light, and would it be friend or foe? The light enveloped us, an exhilarating warmth igniting hope, yet shadows still clawed at the edges, frantic and vicious. The bright glimmer pulsed like a heartbeat, urging us forward, but the encroaching darkness felt alive, as if it could sense our fear. "Hold on, Jessie," I gasped, feeling his fingers tighten around mine, his grip a lifeline amidst the chaos. The shadows chanted, now a collective whisper that echoed with a sinister promise, "Join us or suffer." With each step into the radiance, a small part of me trembled. Was this a trap? Or the refuge we desperately sought? A jagged memory flickered Mom's face just before she vanished into the shadows. Panic exploded in my chest. Are we making a mistake? No. Jessie's voice rang clear, slicing through my doubts. We have to trust it. It feels right. The man in the coat held in rage, the sound distorting into a monstrous roar. Fools! You're walking into your demise. He lunged at us, but the light flared with a brilliance that momentarily blinded him, pushing the shadows back. With our hearts racing, we pressed further into the glow, the whispers of the dark retreating slightly, replaced by flickering images of our shared memories, each moment stronger than the last. The laughter by the lake, the warmth beneath the autumn sun, the taste of hot cocoa on cold nights, all the little moments forged a barrier against the encroaching darkness. The glow intensified, absorbing the shadows that clawed at our feet. Do you feel it, Jess? I asked, breathless. We're almost there. But suddenly, the whispers shifted. They no longer begged, they threatened. If you choose light, you'll lose everything. You can't save him, and you can't save yourself. I staggered, an icy wave of dread crashing over me. Please, stop. I shouted into the void, realizing that the darkness knew us, understood our fears, and fed off them. A truth so profound I was terrified to face it washed over me. This can't be the end. The man in the coat laughed, a sound curdling with malice. You too believe you can outrun fate? You shall soon witness the truth of your choices. Jessie winced, his hand slipping slightly as he looked back at me, tears sparking in his eyes. You're stronger than this, right? We can beat him. But the shadows were closing in. I could feel their chilling breath on my skin, whispering secrets I didn't want to hear. Mom. Jessie's voice trembled as he began to falter. No. We can't. I insisted, pulling him back with all my strength. Focus on the light. We need to push through. Then, a sudden burst of energy ignited in me. The memories I clung to weren't just weapons, they were the foundation of our resolve. I could feel Mom's spirit swirling like a mist around us, feeding into the light. Were these the connections that could shield us? The essence of all we had faced together erupted in a blinding flash. Jessie's face lit up, his eyes alive with determination. I won't let fear take us. As he spoke, the shadows recoiled, drawn back by an unseen force. A surge of light wrapped around us like a protective shroud. The man in the coat's expression shifted from anger to anguish. No. You cannot. Together. We shouted again, the word acting as both our shield and our sword as we lunged deeper into the brightness. But just as I felt the cusp of understanding a truth that could shatter the shadows, I was yanked back, twisting in the light as something unseen pulled at my heart. "Mom!" Jessie screamed again, the shadow swelling. I turned, bracing myself against the dark, but knew it wasn't just any darkness. It was my darkness. The weight of unanswered questions threatened to collapse in on me. In this moment, I realized, the light wasn't just a beacon, it was a reflection of everything I'd lost. Would I dare face the truth waiting for us on the other side? Or would I succumb to the very shadows I sought to banish? The edges of the light flickered uncertainly, and I felt a cold shiver crawl down my spine. What if the truth we were about to unveil was more horrific than the darkness itself? The pull intensified, and I felt as though the shadows were physically dragging me down, siphoning my will. Jesse was still with me, but I could see his face was a mix of fear and anger. "Let go, Emma. Fight it!" he shouted over the deepening whispers, his voice cracking under the weight of despair. "I'm trying," I gasped, feeling the shadow slide through my fingers, solid like oily smoke. Every inch I was pulled backward felt like a loss, a surrender to everything I had fought so hard to escape. I can't face her again." "Face who?" Jesse's eyes widened as he saw something shift, and then I felt it too. A cold, familiar ache twisted in my chest. The shadows coiled tighter, forming shapes, familiar forms that flickered just beyond the reach of the light. I squinted, willing them to reveal their truth. Suddenly, I saw her, my mother's silhouette. "Mom!" The word burst from my lips, raw and desperate. But the figure before me was not the woman I remembered. It was a grotesque duplication, her face twisted in an expression of sorrow and rage. "You think you can escape me, Emma?" The voice echoed, now a haunting reminiscence I could hardly bear. "Look at what you've brought upon yourself." The realization clutched at me like a vice. The form was a reflection of my guilt. My pulse quickened. "No. This isn't real. You're not her." "Am I not?" The shadow laughed, a chilling sound that sent ripples of ice spiraling through me. "You ran from the truth, Emma. You ran from me. But you cannot run from your feelings. The darkness is just the part of you that you chose to forget." Jesse was moving closer, desperately trying to reach out, but the shadows lashed out at him, splitting and reshaping into clawed hands that sought to grasp him, to drag him away. "Emma! Fight it! You know this isn't real." His eyes glistened with wide determination, even as the shadows lapped at his heels. I don't know how," I shouted, feeling every shattered piece of me tremble under the weight of that shadow's words. "I wish I could bring her back." The shadow mother opened her arms, her mouth curving into a wicked smile. "You wish to know the truth? You want to bring her back? Then join me, let the darkness take you. You can be together once again." "No!" Jesse cried, throwing himself forward, throwing off the shadow hands that tried to pull him away. "You don't have to do this. Remember the light, Emma. Your memories are stronger than this." As the darkness swirled around me, Jesse's words seemed to pierce through the fog, a lifeline I desperately clung to. The laughter of the shadow faded, but a viscous tug still pulled at my heart, reminding me of all I held lost. "I loved her, I still love her," I whispered, feeling a swell of courage. "And that love is stronger than anything you can offer me." In an instant, the light enveloped me once more, but now it was different, filled with clarity and strength. The memories returned, flooding in vivid colors, washing over the shadows with warmth. Laughter, love, and sheltered moments surged like a wave, pushing back the darkness I feared. But then, the light flickered, a pause that felt charged with foreboding. A chasm beneath me opened, an abyss of despair. Where the light retreated, the shadows surged back, agitated and hungry. "Emma!" Jesse yelled, hopelessly, as the ground began to crack. "You have to choose. Now." The roaring shadows filled the air, whispering my greatest fears, twisting my heart with chilling insistence. And as they chanted around me, I realized I had a decision to make, one that would seal my fate in this purgatory between light and dark. Could I confront the truth hidden inside me? Or would I fall forever into the shadowy embrace of despair? As I felt gravity shift, I caught Jessie's gaze, fearful yet strong, a beacon in the oppressive gloom. Emma. You cannot lose yourself to this. We need you. But in the split second before I could respond, I heard the echoes of an impending question, an invitation to face the darkest parts of my heart, an unknown waiting with bated breath. Could love truly conquer this darkness? Or were we both about to be swallowed whole? The shadows lunged. Guttural whispers clawed at my thoughts, wrapping their tendrils around my mind like a vice. I could feel the chasm behind me widening, threatening to consume everything within its grasp. Jessie's voice, filled with panic, sliced through the raucous noise. Emma. Don't let them win. You have to believe. But every inch I felt the encroaching darkness was another tug towards despair. I watched the twisted, shadowy version of my mother. Her eyes, nightmarish and hollow, bore into me. Isn't this what you wanted? To see me again? To feel that love once more? Each word dripped with malice, yet there was a familiarity there that made my heart ache. No. I screamed at the apparition. You're not her. You're just a monster trying to deceive me. My voice wavered, a mixture of defiance and uncertainty. Am I? The shadow's smile widened, sharp and cruel. It took a step forward, and the shadow surged toward me like a tide. The ground beneath me buckled, and Jesse struggled to stay anchored, his face registering the terror I felt deep inside. Emma, think. He shouted. This is your fear manifesting. You can beat this. I glanced at him, desperation coursing through our connection. The bond we shared had never felt more vital. But the shadows tightened their grip, dragging me closer to the void. I can't just forget. I can't dismiss her pain, my pain. I pleaded, feeling tears escape down my cheeks as the darkness taunted me for my weakness. Suddenly, a flicker of memory sparked within me, my mother's laughter, the warmth of her embrace, the lessons of resilience she instilled, despite our battles. She loved me, I murmured, guilt crashing over me like waves. And I failed her. The shadows shimmered, wavering like a mirage as I fought to focus on the memories that filled my heart with light. I loved her enough to face this. In that moment, the laughter of the shadow faltered. Its grip weakened as the echoes of my memories rushed forth, blasting the darkness with brilliant rays of emotion. I visualized warmth cascading over me, illuminating every shattered piece. Feel that, Emma. That's the love that connects us. Jesse yelled, the desperation in his voice pushing me forward. I steadied myself against the onslaught. I will face this truth. I held, realizing that love wasn't a weakness, it was my power. It surged through my veins, empowering me, pushing back the shadows that lingered. Yet, as the light breached deeper into the dark, the landscape shifted violently. The ground beneath us rumbled, an ominous growl resonating through the air, and the edges of the chasm pulsated with waves of despair. The shadows regrouped, morphing into forms of the people I once knew, friends, foes, and faces long forgotten. They all wore twisted expressions, creeping closer, their whispers rising into a deafening cacophony. You'll never escape us, Emma, you still owe no. I roared, but my voice trembled under their swaggering chant. I couldn't afford to falter now. Jesse grasped my hand, grounding me in this chaos. You hold the key. Remember, this is your domain. You author the words, you determine the ending. Just as I gathered my seriousness, the shadows lunged once more. Reality threatened to shatter as their hands reached out, clawing for my heart. Emma, they hissed, a chant vibrating through my veins, demanding my submission. Embrace your darkness, allow it to take control. Suddenly, in a moment of sheer will, I closed my eyes and dug deep. I will not be conquered. I cried, and I released every burst of earnest love I had towards the air, willing it to manifest. But as the shadows recoiled, swirling chaotically, I couldn't shake the sense of a deeper secret lurking beneath. What awaited me in the darkness? Would I find freedom or be shackled further? As intentions collided and light flared around us, I could feel the moment teetering on a precipice. I steeled myself for the ultimate battle ahead, knowing the true confrontation was yet to come. What will I discover about myself in the shadows? The ground shook, the whispers ascended, and I felt the chilling reminder that one thing remained clear: the truth I feared was waiting just beyond the veil, biding its time, ready to reveal something darker than I could imagine. The air crackled with tension, a violent storm of shadows battling against the light we fought to keep alive. As the darkness swirled, I felt the weight of every fear, every ounce of guilt I had ever buried press against my chest. But there, intertwined in the heart of that suffocating chaos, was Jesse, my anchor, my light. Emma. Focus. His voice rang out, fierce with urgency. Remember why we're fighting. I forced myself to recall the warmth of our good times, the laughter of summer days, the way he hugged me when nightmares came creeping in. It was more than just nostalgia. It was strength. The shadows writhed, they were hungry, but I resolved to push back, with every proud moment, every cherished memory. You want to take us? I shouted, my voice a rallying cry against the encroaching despair. The man in the coat stepped forward, his form shimmering with malice. Love will not save you, my dear, he sneered. You are nothing but a brittle echo, and echoes can be swallowed whole. No. I screamed, the word bursting forth with a fierce defiance that sliced through the darkness. I am not an echo. I am no longer afraid. Jesse squeezed my hand tighter, and a surge of warmth flowed from him to me, filling every crack and crevice in my spirit. Together. He breathed, as if our hearts were synchronized, pulsing to a beat that resonated deeper than mere survival. The darkness faltered, recoiling just enough to give us space to breathe. In that fleeting moment, I felt clarity wash over me, like cool rain after a drought. Every shadow was a piece of my consciousness craving acknowledgement, screaming for recognition. Listen to me, all of you. I shouted into the void. You are not my endings, you are just pieces of my story. I am the author of my fate, and I choose to rise. As my words echoed, they unraveled the grip the shadows held, revealing flecks of light that pulsed within each form. With newfound strength, I thrust my arm forward, channeling everything I had: love, pain, loss, and the power of my choices directly into the swirling darkness. You are not my end. You are my beginning. Colors erupted in a blast that felt like sunshine after a storm. The shadows screamed, a discordant symphony of rage and despair as they began to unravel, twisted hands disappearing into the glowing brightness. I felt Jesse's resolve tethering me as we stood together, our souls intertwined, igniting the light we conjured into brilliance. And in a breathtaking moment of unity, it felt like the very fabric of reality shifted. Each flicker of light clashed against the darkness, revealing their twisted forms, exposing their lies. The man in the coat staggered, and for the first time, I saw fear flash across his face. No. This can't be. He yelled, his voice filled with disbelief as the shadows began to collapse around him. Yes, it can. I cried with unrestrained passion. You will no longer hold power over me. I choose to step into the light. With those words, I thrust our energy forward, a wave of unyielding brilliance crashing into the darkness. The shadows shrieked, twisting and turning in palpably despairing agony, as I felt the power of liberation surge. For a heartbeat, all that was dark dissolved before us, the very space morphing into a kaleidoscope of colors. And then, silence. The shadows evaporated, leaving behind only the soft glow that flickered in the air, illuminating Jesse and me. Did we do it? He glanced up at me, his eyes wide in disbelief, mixing amazement and wonder. Yes, we did. I exclaimed, my voice breaking with relief. We fought, and we conquered the darkness. In that moment, I felt a warm glow envelop us, a feeling of safety, of resolution. But as the remnants of the shadows faded into nothingness, I felt a tug inside my heart, like a guardian whispering goodbye. I turned, seeking that part of me I once feared. My mother's silhouette, now a soft light rather than a shadow. You've embraced the truth, Emma, she spoke, her voice gentle yet strong. You've broken the cycle. No, Mom, I said, shaking my head. I never had the strength to do it alone. You always did, she reassured. Your journey was always meant to lead you to this moment to him. The light cascaded over me, and for a fleeting instant, I saw fragments of my past blending beautifully into the present. The shadows had revealed closure on my deepest fears. And now, I had space to embrace hope. I turned to Jesse, my boy, the glimmer of my past and the promise of my future. We did this together. His eyes sparkled, I could see the thread of victory weaving through them. You're stronger, he beamed. Together, we're unstoppable. As the last vestiges of darkness disappeared, a new dawn began to break beyond the window, painting the world in hues of golden warmth. Sitting together, we breathed it all in, knowing that our love would anchor us, no matter the foes we might face ahead. Hand in hand, we stepped forward into that radiant light, ready to embrace all the unfamiliar roads that lay ahead. With fears vanquished, we knew only love remained, a bond unbreakable. Now here's the moment you've been waiting for. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel. Don't miss any of the next exclusive stories that could change everything. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this thrilling conclusion, and share your thoughts with our incredible community. Lastly, don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to see this ending. Your participation makes all the difference. Let us keep building something special together.